What's up, guys? We are back. Fitness Profit Multiplier, Anthony and Jimmy. Today, we're going to be discussing how to speak to prospective new fitness clients and the right way to speak to them. Not like these guys on YouTube, on Instagram that swear up and down, left and right that it's all about how you say the sentence and tonality and all these crazy voodoo type things on how to speak to people. That absolutely drives me nuts. And before I say anything, tonality is very, very important. Very important. It's all about how you say things. But that's not going to close somebody. It's not the thing that's going to push someone over that line and become a client. And it drives me crazy when people talk about tonality as this big major thing. It's like, yes, it's very important, but don't go crazy with it. Like, you don't have to script out everything just for it to be proper tone. It's important. Just don't sound like an asshole basically in the beginning and you're good to go.
Your clients didn't come into your gym for that ASMR stuff where you're like speaking real slow into the mic,
that ASMR stuff, totally off topic, is weird.
Weird, man.
It is so weird that's like a whole new thing.
Yeah. Sorry for those gym owners that like that kind of thing, but
weird, man.
that are listening right now, not to offend you, but that's some weird stuff.
That's weird.
But
it's weird. We should do one in the gym where all you hear is clanking, like of the barbells.
It's calming.
All right, go ahead.
It's calming.
Yeah, it's calming.
Yeah. I mean, you hear all this stuff, Anthony, and I like a lot of Jordan Belfort stuff, but he beats this thing to death with tonality, right?
I wasn't even talking about him, but
but I mean, his book, he has half his book is like tonality, right? And yes, tonality is important, but if you're focused on tonality before you're focused on actually hearing and understanding the client and listening to what they're saying to you, and then guiding the conversation with what you're actually listening to and how you can help them, no amount of tonality is going to help you, right? So I think people focus too much on the icing, and we really got to focus on the cake here, right? Which is how you ask questions and how you actually listen to the client and pick your next question based upon what they're saying, as well as validating their emotions and getting them across the line. So
beautifully said, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautifully said.
So what's the first question you normally ask, Anthony?
You have your credit card ready? No, that's not the first question I asked. I'm just kidding. That's not the first question. But yeah, Jimmy nailed it. He nailed it. And perfectly well said. We could probably shut this off right now. But, the main thing is you need to be listening to the prospect and repeating back to them what they're saying. When you're trying to get someone, not to convince them, but you're trying to get someone over the line to buy, the most important thing that you should be doing is asking questions and shutting up. You, as the salesperson, should not be talking. The person who talks the most in the sales transaction loses. It's very simple. You should be asking appropriate questions at the appropriate time and always asking follow-up questions and diving deeper and deeper and deeper. For example, if Jimmy comes in and Jimmy wants to gain muscle, and I can understand Jimmy's a small, skinny guy. So you ask Jimmy, okay, Jimmy, why is this important for you to add muscle? Okay, what are your goals, Jimmy? That's usually the first question we ask. What are your goals? What are you trying to achieve? Mm-hmm. All right, I want to gain muscle. Okay, Jimmy, why is that important to you? Why is gaining muscle important to you? Because I'm uncomfortable with the way I look. Well, what about the way you look are you so uncomfortable with? Well, I feel very insecure. My wife doesn't look at me the way she used to look at me. So I can understand that, Jimmy. Your hair is ugly and I'm just messing with you. But you guys get the idea, right? You're going to keep diving down deep. And what we really found out was Jimmy wants to gain muscle because he's insecure with what's going on in his house. So now we have that ammunition to use at him later on. All right, Jimmy. So in order for you to feel like a secure guy again and really get your wife noticing you, I think we need to get you in here 4 times a week, doing this. Does that work for you? Type of thing. But again, it's just about asking the right questions at the right time. It's so important. And I hear guys on the phone, again, this is part of our program. This is what we do. We go through sales training with guys. And I hear people on the phone talking up and down. yeah, Mrs. Jones, you're going to come in, you're going to be doing kettlebells and you're going to be doing this and you're going to be swinging this. And, you know, our program is the absolute best on the planet and you need this. Like the person's talking and the prospect is not saying anything. They're glazed over. They forgot you even exist at this point and they're ready to just click.
And so many salespeople are, and in all industries, are bad at this, right?
Right.
And one of the things we have going against us in this industry as trainers is we're really excited about our product. It's our baby. It's our business, right? And each meeting is so emotional for an owner, right? Because the owner is like, oh, I got to close this deal, da, da, da. They smell the commission breath on you too, right? But if you have a structured system with a structured script framework to follow, like we've talked about in other podcasts, right?
It's so funny. I always say the same thing. I call it scripts. It's actually a framework.
It's actually
but I always say scripts. It's so bad.
Yeah.
I always say scripts
because that's the first way we always learn it, right? Is like follow this script, and then the script becomes a framework because you have been seasoned in your sales ability, and you can kind of like blend it from there. But the problem we have is we're so passionate about what we do, we're so invested. So sometimes getting somebody else in the sales seat is great for your business because you're not as emotional about the sale anymore, and they're not either.
Yeah,
they just want to get
very true.
They just want to get the close, right? Because they want to help people too. But sometimes when it's out of your hands, it's a little bit better. But we're dovetailing a little bit, but we'll kind of get back on track here. It's the way you ask the questions in the right order is more important than tonality. Tonality is important. You do want to slow down at times. You do want to lean in at times. You do want to quiet yourself down at times when you're telling something that's somebody something that's really important. You want to get a little bit quieter, and then they're really going to lean in and pay attention to you, right? But I almost did ASMR there and almost got down to it. But but when we look at it, we have to look at it from a perspective of, if you saw what Anthony did when he was talking about how I'm a skinny guy, he was talking.
I'm glad you admitted it, man.
Yeah, I'm skinny. Yeah, I'm 230 is skinny. I'm actually skinnier than I used to be, but I'm following the AB Fitness nutrition plan, so it's working.
Wonderful. Now you finally see abs.
So when you look at it, you have to make sure that you ask more probing questions. That's the key. Ask more probing questions, because if all Anthony says to me is, "What's your goal?" and then I say, "To gain muscle," he says, "That's great." Writes it down on a piece of paper. Next question, right? No. What's your goal? My goal is to gain muscle. Why is that important to you? Burn that question into your brain. Why is that important to you? And how does that make you feel now? How would you feel at the other end once you've achieved this goal? Those are the three questions that I find get people to open up more than anything, right? And you have to be inviting, and you can't be, a dick about it where you're like, oh, well, like having these looks on your face and judging their goals and all this kind of stuff. Because if you're a good trainer and you're a good business owner, you're invested in helping people no matter where they start. So ask those questions. Why is that important? How does it make you feel now? How do you imagine you would feel after achieving this goal that we're setting out? This paints the picture and drives them down to the vacation. It takes them from their current life to the vacation destination without talking about the plane flight. It's a great analogy, right? Without talking about the plane flight. You're not talking about the kettlebell. You're not, and we talk about this in other podcasts, but we're going to harp this till we're blue in the face because we see it so often. You're not talking about the kettlebell. You're not talking about the barbell. You're not talking about linear undulating periodization. You're not talking about macros and, how many egg whites per egg you should be eating and all this stuff. No. Right? You're talking about their feelings, their emotions, and what is important to them and why.
Yeah, and I'm guilty of doing the opposite of that, where it's like I want to educate the person.
And I
find myself trying to educate them and going down the rabbit hole when it doesn't even matter. Your goal is to educate them after they pay, because before they pay, it doesn't matter. Like, so for example, if I start talking about my meal plan to somebody. Okay, this is, you're going to get a customized meal plan and blah, blah, blah. You're going to start bringing up questions in the prospect's mind about the meal plan that doesn't even matter because they didn't even sign up yet. Is there broccoli on the meal plan? I really hate spinach. You're going to get questions like that happen. And those questions are irrelevant to moving them to where they need to go. People buy based on emotion and justify that with logic. So you need to explain to them, get them emotionally happy about signing up and the potential of where they're going to go. Like Jimmy mentioned, selling them the vacation, selling them the Aruba beach. That's what we're looking for. That's what we're trying to get them excited about. And then let them make the decision logically based on all the other information that we do give them when appropriate. But if you find yourself diving down deep into these questions, you're doing it wrong. And I'm guilty of it. I still do it sometimes. Like I find myself talking to prospective clients organically online, and I'm like, they ask me questions, and people will ask these questions, and I start listing out what we give, and I'm like, what am I doing? Yeah. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter. It's all irrelevant to them. You have to hit them on the emotional level so they move to the next step.
And you can always add some fluff. And the fluff is not your kettlebell, your barbell. The fluff is, right, it's a personalized program that we design in-house for each of our clients, and we make sure that their specific needs are met in each workout.
Yeah.
Boom. You don't say it's 7 people and we run a template and we run linear undulating and we do the Nobody cares, right?
Right.
They care that it's customized, personalized for them. Add a little fluff in there. Make it sound, elevated. Like when you go to a fancy restaurant and they say some fluff word about how, we have locally sourced whatever the heck it is, right? Does it matter if your steak is locally sourced or your steak is from halfway across the state? It's probably pretty good either way, right?
Yeah.
They say it's locally sourced.
Really good point.
They say this stuff, right? Oh, so if we say, it's a customized system that we've built over time to get, 1,200 people the amazing results, right? That sounds great. But if you say we use linear undulating periodization because the science says that, that's the best way to train, and you're going to do this exercise this many times a week and that exercise this many times a week, and we're going to get you there by getting your heart rate to X and Nobody cares. Have you ever seen, and we'll poke at a franchise here real quick. You ever seen an Orange Theory ad that talks about anything other than Orange Zone? They say Orange Zone and more life. That's it. That's it, right? So it's not like, oh, well, we're going to do this and do that. They say they're science-based, but they don't dive into the science, right? So saying you're science-based and not diving into the science is a lesson to tell you that, and we all know as seasoned trainers, that Orange Theory 5 days a week is not the best thing for a client in terms of their stress level, in terms of their result, in terms of their muscle growth. You're not going to get that much muscle growth if the dumbbells only go up to 50 pounds, right? And you're doing strength training for 5 minutes within a cardio session. We know that that's true, but we can't explain to a client why we're better than Orange Theory by explaining that. We explain to them that we're better because it's a personalized, customized, scientific approach that makes sure that you're going to gain muscle and lose body fat at the same time. How that happens doesn't matter. Right?
And if you find your prospects are asking you those questions, it's generally because they don't know what else to ask you. So that means that 1, you're not guiding the conversation correctly. And 2, they might have lost interest in something that you've said, and maybe you didn't dive down on those points before, like the why points. Those why points are very, very important. And I forgot who said this, and I'm going to butcher like what it was, but it's like, if you can get your prospect to open up and cry, you're going to win.
Oh man, because it's great. Yeah.
It is great, but at the same time, I always feel terrible when it happens. It's like, oh man, you don't want to see somebody upset.
Oh, I love it every time. Like, I don't love it like I love making people cry, but I love it because I know that client is going to be so rooted to what we're doing, and they're going to get such positive results because you broke their beliefs, you changed their mindset, and you were able to do that in 45 minutes or less. right?
What questions do you usually ask that gets them to cry? Like, what's those questions they usually ask, do you think?
So a lot of the time, and it's funny because at the end of our presentation, when we're really like going through all the questions and talking them through stuff, we go through some health history stuff, we go through their pain points, we go through some things, and it all leads to that point, right? It all leads to the point where we ask the kicker of the question, right? And the kicker question is after we've created distance between what they've done in the past that hasn't worked and what we do and what they've been missing and all this stuff. And we talk about, we talk up the program because we talk about the pillars and what pillars they don't have. There's 3 pillars to fitness, and you didn't have this pillar when you did this thing. And this is why this didn't work for you. And this is why this is going to work for you because we have all these pillars and right? We build all that up. And then we say,
oh man, you broke up, man. Oh no. It was like the
a specific question right at the end.
Wait. I lost you. It was the perfect cutoff segment, man. You were just like, and this is the question, and it completely froze.
Oh, really?
So what's the question?
Okay, and this is the question, right? You first build timeline. So you say, in a year, what does the ideal version of client name look like? What does the ideal version of Jenny look like a year from now? So I say it like this, and we're going to talk about tonality a little bit. I know we kind of poo-pooed it a bit, but it's important at this point, right? So I say, this is how I say it. I go, so Jenny, ideally for you, and I use my hands like this, ideally for you, let's paint the picture and tell me what the ideal version of Jenny looks like a year from now. Then they give you the ideal version of themselves. Well, I'd be able to go on hikes again. I keep up with my grandkids. I do this, I do that. And you say, great. So how does that, reaching those goals, being able to keep up with your grandkids, doing this, doing that, doing this, how does that goal add value to your life? And then you just shut the hell up. And then what's going to happen is you ask that question, the client sits back in their chair and they go, that's a good question. And they kind of grab their chin and they think, they stare off, and then they go something like this. They go, because I want to be around for my family. Right? And then you got them. I had one woman who was like, I don't want to be the grandma that can't keep up with my grandchildren. I don't want to be left behind on a hike. I don't want my family to have to compromise for my inability to do things. Right? And that's freaking powerful. Right?
Exactly what I said before. People buy off of emotion. Now you trigger that emotion to that person. And again, like Jimmy said, this is a cake. You're building the cake. Jimmy put all the ingredients of the cake. He put the cake in the oven. He took the cake out. He put the cake on the table. He asked that last final question, and he was able to smother the icing all over it. And that's the key. That's where the tonality comes in.
Yeah.
Because if Jimmy would have said that question like, yeah, what does the ideal version of Jenny look like? Oh, okay. And how does that add value to your life? It doesn't hit home the same.
No.
So you got to slow it down, let them think, let them digest it. But excellent point, man. Round of applause for you. And that performance was
the performance.
Also.
And the key is they have to say it. That's what they're going to say. They're going to say, I want more confidence in myself. I want to keep up with my grandkids. I don't want to be embarrassed when I look in the mirror. I want to be able to put a swimsuit on. The key is you asking the right questions to get them to say it. That's why they're there. But if you say it, it doesn't work.
Right.
You have to get them to say it to you. Right? Mm-hmm. They say it to you, and it's like butter, man. Like, then you'll get a few tears. You'll get, if nothing else, you'll get, like, you see them sit back in their chair and they're really thoughtful. You got them. You got them right there. If you screw up the sale after that happens, you're screwing something up. You're walking them past the buying line at that point, right? So you can walk them past the buying line. That happens, right? But if you get them to that point where they're divulging what their deepest, darkest insecurities are in relation to them not prioritizing themselves and not prioritizing their health, that is where the real change happens for that person. And it's going to change for you because you're going to be a profitable business at that point. If you can do that artfully, right? That's where the big change comes in at that moment. So make sure that you ask those pointed questions. And if you need us to dial in a sales script for you, a framework that's going to allow you to ask the right questions over time, then get on the phone with us. We'll dive into it. We'll do a little dissect on what you got and give you some help for free, right? But that's the icing on the cake after you build the entire cake throughout the questioning, right? Why is it important to you? How do you feel now? How do you imagine you'd feel in the future? And then put a time frame on it. Why is it valuable to you in your life? And how does it add value to your life? How is your life going to be different? And those are the things that really get somebody rooted in emotionally to what you're offering them.
Yep. Well said, man. That was really good. And that's how you speak to a prospect. It's not about how you talk to them. It's about asking them the right questions. So like we said, tonality is important, but it's not going to be the thing that's moving someone down that line. Asking the right questions is. And my question to you guys listening to this is, do you want help with any of this? Long dramatic pause. If you do, just click that link below. Like Jimmy said, hop on a discovery call with us and we'll help you dive down and break all these things down so you can be more profitable. All right, guys, Anthony and Jimmy, and we'll catch you on the next one.